Hi students, this week I want to share with you a mini lesson about habits. So in my conversation classes, we have spoken about what your habits are, something that you do regularly, often, or maybe even every day. Something can be a habit without you doing it every day, but these are frequencies that you will hear when you're thinking and talking about habits. So you can see here, these are some phrases in English that will help you understand how often something is done. So this is the more side and the less. So something that you do almost all the time is a habit. Most of the time would not probably be a habit. Less often is some of the time, a little of the time, or rarely ever. So when you're talking about habits in English, you're going to use the simple present tense. The simple present tense is formed with just the base form of the verb if you're using the subjects I, you, we, or they. If you use he, she, or it, that is the third person singular, then you will add an S. So it's a very simple form of a verb in English, and this is what we always use when we're talking about a habit, something that you do often or regularly. So for example, we talked in our group about what some things are that you can do to stay healthy. What are some things you can do to stay healthy? We wanted to think about your habits, things that you do regularly or all the time. So in the group, students suggested some of these things. Eat healthy foods, exercise, such as yoga or walking or biking, spend time outdoors, manage your stress, drink tea and a lot of water, sleep enough, eat vegetables and fruit, spend time with family and friends, stay connected and talk, have someone to talk to, even if it's online and not in person. Pets contribute to our happiness, and positive attitude and mindset. Something that children are taught in school is to use your self-talk. So what are the things that you say to yourself regularly? What habits do you have about talking to yourself? So something that you probably see a lot on signs everywhere that you go and online are the 3 W's. So these are very important habits right now. For example, I wear a mask in public, that's 1 W. I wait at least 6 feet away from others when I'm in public. And I wash my hands often, even at home. So those are habits, and that is using the simple present tense. I wear, I wait, I wash. But it's not just talking about one time, it's something that I do all the time or very frequently. That's a habit. So another question that we discussed in the group was, why is it hard to study? What are things that make it difficult for you to study every week, and what habits can make it easier to study? So some of the problems that students mentioned were that it's difficult to study because of, number 1, time. They're too busy. Everyone has a really busy life. Number 2, it's hard to stay focused. And number 3 is similar. Some students said it can be boring to study alone. Number 4, shyness or afraid to speak. Number 5 is similar, worried about making mistakes. Number 6, for some students, their first language is very different than English, so it's difficult to learn English. And for many students, number 7, if they don't speak English at home or with family, that is even more difficult to learn. So here are some solutions, and you will notice that we use the simple present here, but more like a command, okay? So the verbs are write, study, talk, tell yourself. Number 1 is write a schedule. So we talk about this sometimes. If you have just a simple calendar that you use, I use a paper calendar, plan your time and decide when you will study. Number 2, study for a shorter time. Maybe you can't study for 2 hours, but you can study 30 minutes. And you can use a timer. Put the phone away, make a vocabulary list, maybe watch TV in English after you study, and that's kind of a treat. Number 3, talk to a classmate, a buddy, or a partner, or a teacher to make it more interesting. Number 4, a student said, don't worry. Tell yourself that you can do this and mistakes help you learn. Also, if you are speaking to an English speaker, you might want to think about something you can say if you are deciding what to say and you don't want to let it be quiet. For example, you can say, let me think about that. And you can wait a second and breathe and think about what you want to say. So finding phrases that work for you that you can use will help you feel more comfortable when you're speaking. Another suggestion we have is to make good habits affirmations. Affirmation is just a positive statement, and you can use the simple present tense for this. So maybe you write 1 or 2 or 3 of these things, put it by your computer, and it's something that you can tell yourself when you begin studying each time. For example, you might say, I improve every time I practice. I make time to study, or I speak English. I want you to know that you can do this. I believe in you. Your teachers, Monique and Melissa, believe in you, and we see that you are improving, and we hope you see that too. I have a few suggestions for practice. So one is to review the simple present, and in the High Beginner book of Burlington English, Module 1 has 3 lessons that review the simple present. Lesson 2 and Lesson 4 and Lesson 6. So Lesson 4 and 6 also have present continuous and positive and negative and questions. So this is a good review for students at every level to make sure that you are using this verb tense correctly. You might also want to practice how often. So the lesson in the High Beginners, Module 2, Lesson 2 is a good assignment for practicing how often. So this is adverbs and expressions of frequency that answer that question. And there's another one, a step after that is in the High Beginner, Module 5, Lesson 6, and it tells how long or how often. So a common question is, how long have you lived in the United States? And you will learn in this module how to practice with for and since and how to use that correctly. So I hope that these are helpful suggestions to you for where to practice in Burlington. And I want you to remember that you're doing a very difficult thing and you're doing it better every time you try. Thank you, students. Have a great Thanksgiving week. Stay safe and keep studying.